Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Cashed Out Cars. Today is an exciting but always nerve-wracking day because it is the first day of the season that we're getting the Turbo Miata out. So in this video, I'm going to go over what's changed since you've last seen the car, and then we're going to get this thing out of the garage, hopefully start it up, and hopefully everything goes well with that. Also, at the end of the video, I'll touch on some upcoming plans to add a vehicle to the channel, which should make for a really fun year for me and some great content for you guys. Without further ado, let's get this thing off the dollies and get it onto the ground so we could go start it up. Alright, we are getting close here. So before I go ahead and start this thing up, what's changed since the last time you've seen this car running and driving? Well, if you follow the channel, you probably already know, but unfortunately, this car got rear-ended at the very end of last fall, so I have all new body panels on the rear of the car. I'll show you how that looks right now. So on camera, the back of this car actually doesn't really look that bad. If you get up close, you could tell that the trunk doesn't really match the rest of the car. This trunk was actually resprayed before I picked it up, so it's not a perfect match. Same goes for the finish panel and the bumper. They're not bad, and they are red at least, so that's not the end of the world, but they're not in pristine shape, and it's not as good as it used to be, but at least this car has body panels and it's ready to go for the season. This is something that I might work on fixing in the future, but if you know me and you know this channel, I build cars, especially like this one, to drive, not to be show cars. So the mismatched body panels don't bother me that much, and on camera it still looks fine. From a distance it still looks fine, so that's what you're going to be seeing for at least a little bit. Now, other things that have changed with this car is I did put a 3.9 Torsen in the back of it, so finally we have a limited slip diff, so we could do some faster pulls to 60 miles an hour and have more fun with this thing on the track. And also, being a 3.9, I'll have slightly longer gearing, which should be well suited to the turbocharger setup that is on this thing. So the last thing that's changed, which you've already saw if you watched my last video, is we put this new custom wrapped wheel in here. Obviously it's black and white and it matches the rest of the interior of this car, and I'm really happy with that so far. Long term we'll see how much I like it, but for now I love the way it looks and I love the way it feels. Now let's go grab my laptop, plug it in here so we can see what's going on with this car and see if it starts up. We got to go under the mat here, get to my stealthy ECU tuning cord location, get that thing out, and now we're good to go. Go ahead and open good old Tuner Studio here. Things are looking good so far. I'm going to go ahead and turn the ignition on. Fuel pump primed. As you could see, our sensors look like they're reading, so yeah, we should be good to start this car. Before we do though, I'm just going to prime the fuel pump a few more times, just because this thing has sat for the winter. Alright, here goes nothing. It's thinking about it. It's not quite there. I'm going to give it a little bit of gas. All right, there we go. We're running for the year. Alright, I'm going to let this thing warm up for a little bit. It is idling really high. Starting and idling is still something I was dialing in at the end of last season, but at least it started up. Once the coolant starts to warm up, idle should get down to a reasonable speed, and then we'll check everything out and once again give it a few revs, make sure everything's looking good with it, and then we should be ready for the season. All right. Alright, so now that this thing is started and warmed up, let's take it for a rip just up my driveway because I still need to put it on insurance. That's going to be a task for tomorrow. And then we'll have full videos on this car again regularly on the channel. But let's go see how that Torsen does. Alright guys, so that's a wrap on this thing. I am so happy to be spinning 2 wheels and not 1. Honestly, that's the first time I really launched a Miata hard that had a Torsen that wasn't Matt's car. I didn't actually launch Matt's car, I let Matt launch his car. And it's an awesome feeling to be spinning 2 wheels in this thing. So anyway, little things that we need to do. It does have a little bit of an oil leak. That's nothing new. This thing always had a little bit of an oil leak, but I'm going to lift it up, see if I can find what that is. And then we just need to dial in the tune a little bit, and this thing should be good to go for the season. Now, as promised, I am looking for another car to add to the channel. My hope is to get another nice NB Miata to set up for autocross in the street class. So it's not going to be a crazy build, but I want to build something that's competitive and that's going to make me a better driver on track. So keep your eye out. If you see any really clean NBs, send them my way. Honestly, I'm hoping to find one by the time that all these videos hit the channel, but let me know. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching. Like this video if you've enjoyed it, and stick around because Miata season is back. See you at the next one.